Hey Matt, how you doing today?
How are you?
I'm good, good. Hey, thanks for jumping on this call with me. So, I thought it would be interesting to get your perspective on the cultural implications of ERP, or really any kind of major initiative in a company. And ERP is an ERP transition is a probably the the crown achievement of a company that's going through a major change. And I think, I've just watched you guys over the years seem like you're pretty successful, and I was hoping you could share some of your experience with other shops that are looking to do this, or are going through it right now.
Yeah, well, our story is pretty simple. It was a story of failure. We had tried to implement an ERP for about 12 years, and we struggled and failed the whole way through.
Mm,
Finding that the reason why we were failing wasn't by lack of effort; it was just lack of context, and understanding that ERP was just not built for job shops. And we were struggling to find anybody that had implemented an ERP successfully, and that everybody in their shop was happy with it. From the owner all the way down to programmers, setup, shipping, what have you.
right.
Um, that's when we found Proshot, and it was perfect timing because we were involved. We were just getting to a point where we were going to do a gut rehab on our company. We decided that if we were going to get serious about an ERP, that we were going to have to change our culture to make sure, because we had one more shot to do it right, or I was gonna quit. I had been running a pirate ship for a lot of years, and I just got tired. It wasn't scalable, so we launched into a culture change, and that was the bedrock foundation of our rehab project, was getting the right people in the right seats, right,
Hmm.
and changing our culture to get ready for the wave that turned out to be Proshot.
That concept of right people in the right seats on the bus, I've heard that before. Where does that come from?
That's traction. Um,
Okay.
Traction is one of the foundations that we used for the rehab project. I know that you've read the book Traction before by Gino Wickman. It's a really popular book. It's an entrepreneurial operating system, and yeah, that was it's called GWC. Just getting the right people in the right seats. So I just quickly, I think everybody can identify with. Most shop owners have issues in shop management. They take their best CNC machinist and uh, guys, maybe they have a great personality, they're trustworthy, just all around great people, and they rise up through the org chart to the point of management. And that's usually where those guys fail. Great machinists, the way their minds are built, right? Everybody's built differently, aren't typically good at high level management, right? Group think. So so you just run through their system of GWC. Does the person get their job? Are you constantly having to explain to them that their job is actually solving problems? Um, Most managers don't like all the issues that are flying at them, but that's their job. That's what management is, right? Um, so next one would be, does the person want it? How many machinists want management positions, right? Actually, right? What that actually is, right? And then again, the capacity or capability, right? Are they trained? Have they been trained in management? Or they have just been dumped in there because they're so good at their job, right? So we walk through that process with everybody in our in our company, and we ended up actually letting go about 33% of our employees
Oh,
before we
wow.
launched in the pro shop, right?
That's a huge percentage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that concept of having the skills to do their job versus, like a machinist versus a manager. The same is true for company owners, and that's the same idea that comes from the book, the E-Myth, right? you're
Right.
a, you're a technician in your craft. You're really excellent at being a machinist and making parts, and you decide to start a company, but you you're not trained as being a business owner,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's often a struggle.
Oh yeah, I was the first one to burn in the fire of traction. I had held 12 different seats at my company in the org chart. Actually, Proshot helped me understand that when I implemented Proshot. One of my favorite things about Proshot is your org chart, right? How you
Hmm.
guys define each job role. It's genius. It's great. As we started walking through, it was shocking. No wonder I'm not gaining any traction. The owner, right? I wasn't I wasn't doing my presidential duties, my CFO duties. I was too busy doing the other 11 jobs I had on the org chart. So yeah, I lost. Let's see, it would have been 7 of them. So I still hold
Okay,
5.
that's so. Talk about when a from so we have a really high success rate with our implementations, but it's not 100%. I'll be honest about it. And the biggest challenge that we've seen with customers that are not successful is they have sort of an internal struggle with alignment, of uh, team members just not being on the same page as the management team or the owners of the company about what's important and the priority. So I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about that.
That goes back on traction, as far as like the vision. So traction's main focus is taking the owner's vision and sharing that with the team, right? Again, all the way from my right hand integrator all the way down to shipping, right? So I've watched other people try to implement ProShop and other ERP softwares, and I think you've talked about it before. You have to resell the system after you sell the system to the owners. I'm sure it's frustrating for you, and again, going back, I mean, I'm really glad that we took the time to get everybody in the right seat to be and get everybody on the same page, right? One of the things that we did, and I know you and I have talked about this before, to show everybody how serious we were, we had a large meeting with everybody in the company. And we told everybody in a nice way, the first one that complains about this process, okay, we've defined it, okay, we're getting everybody ready. You have months of prep work. We've replaced people. Everybody is in the right seat. We've spent all this money, all this effort. This is our proven process. If anybody's not on the same page as us, we're going to let you go. And so afterwards, I went and after the meeting and it shook everybody up, went around and talked to everybody personally, explained to them that how serious I was. And we knew we were going to have a sacrificial lamb. And the next day, we did. It was our EDM lead had belly ached about having to punch in. His time thought he was being he felt like big brother was watching, and that was it. We walked him out the door right on the spot
Hmm.
because we're not babysitters. We don't want to do anything like that. We just want data. That's
Sure.
all, right?
Yeah, I think it would be good to hear from an owner's perspective, because we get that sometimes with machinists or people that they think that ProShop is a tool, until they really understand it. When they're first getting introduced, they think it's a tool just for management to monitor them, and
Right.
that's certainly not how we ran our shop. And so I'd love to hear, just from your perspective, what are the important aspects, if it's not oversight, or big brother, really what are the things that are important, for those employees to be doing, that goes to the benefit of the company, not just you know
I could
you
talk about
watching over
that
them.
for I could talk about that for hours. Such a big question, but let's just see. Okay, so fundamentally, the most important thing for me as an owner was being able to have meetings, good quality meetings, right? In traction, they're called L10 meetings. Everybody ranks the meeting at the end of the meeting from 1 to 10. So we want everybody to feel like that we had a level 10 meeting. The only way to do that is to take out ego, to take out opinion, and just have facts, right? Data, hard data. You can't argue data, right? So as people start to use that data, the meetings are now, there's no argument, right? using logic, using facts, and hammering through issues, right? We don't have to sit there and discuss, is it a problem or isn't? You use Proshot the right way. Use the org chart. You have your proven system. You follow the rules. Everybody's following the rules. Geez, it solves like 90% of the problems on its own, right? Just by getting people to follow the rules, right? I love rules. I love rules.
Sure.
Proshot is great for that. So it has the rules baked right in, right? I mean, you guys spent a
It
lot of
does.
time on
Yeah.
the software, and I always tell people it's genius because you could tell it's built by machinists, right? The whole thing is just intertwined and everything connects together for a reason. And it took us a little bit of time to understand what your vision was for building it, right? We ran into what we thought were issues with your software. I'm not going to go into them right now, but now looking back, they weren't issues. We had the issue because we didn't understand the context of the software, right?
Sure.
So now that we do, well, I don't see any holes personally.
So if you were going to give advice to a shop owner similar to yourself that's considering doing an ERP switch, or they did one and it wasn't particularly successful, what are the things they should be really thinking about and looking out for, or going back and doing over if they've already been through the process?
Well, I do work with owners, so I do business consulting on the side for manufacturing and other industries as well, but mainly manufacturing. The thing that I would stress, things that I work with people on are, when I've got it written down here, number one, foremost are core values, like your core values. So that is the most important thing in, believe it or not, implementing ERP software, right?
Mm.
Everybody's got to have integrity. They have to have what I call pneuma. I don't know if you're familiar with that word, pneuma.
Mm.
It's like being creative, but not outside the box, right? Too much or too little. So it's like stoic creative thought, right? You have to be agile. You have to be creative. You have to have fanatical attention to detail. Period. You have to have emotional maturity, which is a big one, right? And then you have to be able to have a deep respect and understanding of logic, right? You have to find out where your core focus is, right? I'm sure you struggled with that, right? You had a big job shop doing all sort of aerospace and medical, and now that
Sure.
you've been able to go around to the different shops, I bet you if you started over again, you might. It's good to diversify, but you're going to want to have as much of a core focus as you can. I think most job shops are spread too thin. You got to work on your 10-year plan, 3-year plan. My analogy is always, right, if you're going to travel to the moon and if you're off just a degree, you're going to miss it by what, 50, 100,000 miles or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So I work with owners on that. Marketing strategy and sales. Most people don't have a sales plan, right? Which is great, because going back to Proshot, I tell people that Proshot is our sales tool. It's everything, right? So when manufacturers are talking to me about this, how do you sell? I'm like, I just get people in the door. I tell them about our proven process. It's all built around quality. And when they come in, we pop that open. I mean, everybody's going to want to buy from you, right? So it's if you have a proven process and you could show them that their parts are being taken care of, right, with quality first, right, with all that data. I mean, you open up ProShop and their eyes just pop up. I've said it before. It's my greatest sales tool, right?
Yeah,
And of course, you got to get your work chart right. Right.
of course.
There's no point in firing on ProShop unless you get we talked about that GWC, and then you have to get your people ready for problem solving, right? Not symptoms, right? It's really easy to sit around and bellyache about symptoms, right? But what's hard in these meetings is finding that root problem, right? I'm sure you've dealt with that with your own company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a symptom, and you're like, oh, what's causing this, right? You can track it back to maybe yourself.
That's the 5 whys, right? Ask why 5 times to get to the root of what the issue really is.
Right. So what would I do? I mean, it's just, it's just basically giving everybody a helicopter tour and with owners, right? When I'm interviewing guys, people call me for consulting, and I kind of do what you do, right? And when I first met you, I felt like you were interviewing me to see if I was going to be a good candidate for Proshot. And we talked a little bit. I don't know if you remember that. We talked a little bit about that
Yeah,
when we
that's
first met.
certainly a part of our process.
Yeah. And when you left, I was like, I love this guy. Like, that's it. I mean, that like he has a product and he wants to make, because there's no point in launching into something that serious, spending all that money unless your customer truly gets it, right? And so I think that's it. That's what that is. When people call me to consult them, or you've had a lot of shop owners call me and ask me about my experience with Proshot, and I just start my interview process with them. And honestly, most people, they do get it now, right? The guys that are left are pretty strong in manufacturing. All the weak ones have been weeded out, right? They all want what you've built, right? They all want Proshot. It's just they don't know how to get there, right? It just seems like it's too big. It's too, and so to kind of get rid of that anxiety, I just slowly walk them through all these processes, and it's actually, I always say it's simple, but it's not easy, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
right.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for that. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach you? And you can, if it's just your email or website, we'll put it in the link of the video, so you don't need to spell it all out.
I
But,
can click
oh,
on
look
that.
at you!
There you go. I'm ready.
That's awesome. All right, there's your numbers. So yeah, back up, hit pause, and grab that. So all right, well, Matt, thank you so much. This has been great. I'm sure there are folks out there that will find a lot of wisdom in what you have to say, and that could help them through their journey. So
All right, my friend. And hey, and thank you. You guys are the best. One of the best experiences I've ever had in manufacturing, for sure. Easy.
oh man. All right. Thanks so much, Matt.
All
Appreciate
right,
that.
take care.
Take care. All right, bye.